Welcome to Keiser Voices, the story of success, brought to you by Keiser University Graduate School, here where the academic world meets personal triumph. Join us today as we dive into the captivating tales of success.
Welcome back to another Keiser Voices podcast. This month, we are taking an opportunity to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, and we're looking at different influence that the Hispanic community has had and the importance of celebrating such a month like Hispanic Heritage Month. So joining us today is the Dean of the Latin Division from the online division, Dean Lina Rodas. Dean Lina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Heather, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I am glad that I'm here and that I have the opportunity to share with you a little bit of our culture, and it's always a pleasure.
So I kind of want to start talking about you before we kind of taking a look at what our students experience on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
How has your cultural background provided opportunities for leadership and been part of your career growth journey?
I think it has been key, in our Hispanic culture, community and family values are highly appreciated. So this translates into leadership because once you start working with students, faculty, with any other member in the university, you always have that sense of service. In our culture, that's very common to have. So when I grew up, when all the times that I was growing up, you always have that service sense in you. Every time you go, you're always kind, you're trying to help others, you're trying to make sure that they're okay. And this is something that I have tried to apply in my leadership position as well. I think that people genuinely believe that when you feel valued and you feel heard, they perform better. So, for example, if you have an issue and I come to you and I say, Heather, are you feeling okay? What's going on with you today? You have the sense that your leader cares for you, and you try to reciprocate that care with your hard work and in making sure that everything is working nicely. So that's how I think my cultural background has impacted my leadership skills as well.
What would you say would be some unique challenges that Hispanic professionals face in the global workforce?
Well, we navigate very unique challenges when we enter that globe force, especially language barriers. I think that that's one of the highest barriers that we have. Also, I think cultural misunderstanding. Many Hispanic professionals are first generation college graduates, so it also adds a layer of pressure and responsibility. Sometimes we are the first ones in the family to graduate and then pursue these types of opportunities. I've worked with many students at Kaiser University who overcame incredible odds. One of student, for example, I have one of the students, single mother who worked full time and she was pursuing her degree in business administration. She was always working alongside with her job demands, with the demands of the program, learning a new language, raising her kids, trying to send money back to her family in her home country. So many things add up um, that I know our Hispanic students or Latin students they have to overcome. But I know that their determination, their desire to really push forward to helping their families to make sure that they build a future here in this country, I think that that's something that really sets the tone for them and makes a difference in the future that they want to build. So this is some of the challenges, but I know that our students work really hard to make sure that they can overcome them and then they can build a future here in the United States.
I think it's important to point out because we really haven't
Mhm.
mentioned it. I know I introduced you as the dean of the Latin division, but I haven't said what that was.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to point out that the Latin division provides these students who end up here in the US, coming from their various countries, and we're giving them the opportunity to study in a language that they know. Their
Hmm.
classes are 100% in Spanish. Does that
Yes.
make a difference in helping them on that journey and that transition when, coming from, I know you came from Colombia and then coming to the US, does
Mhm.
that make an impact or make a difference for them?
Yeah, no, for sure it does. The path to learn a new language is a little bit different than the path of studying in that new language. So many of our students, they build their communication skills through time. Learning a new language takes time, takes effort. And even when you have gone through the years, I've been here for 19 years and I still have my accent as well, my mistakes when I talk, and that's fine. But it's different when you're studying a program and becoming a professional on the program that you're studying. So making sure that you understand the concepts, that you can critically analyze one of the articles or the stuff that you are looking through your program, then that's something key when you're doing it in your own language, because that allows you to really build that professional profile that you want to build once you graduate. On the side, many of our students, they continue the program, and then on the side they learn English, so that at the end of the program, when they graduate, they can actually start collaborating with employers and find a new job with the new skill that they have in the language, and then the degree that they gave from us at Kaiser. But doing it in Spanish, it helps because it allows the student to graduate in a faster way. They get the degree and they don't waste time while they're also gaining the skills for the new language that they're acquiring.
What advice would you give these graduates or any Hispanic professional trying to enter the global workforce for the first time?
Well, I think my biggest piece of advice is that they should own their own identity and experiences. Sometimes that pressure to assimilate new things or a new work environment can be overwhelming, but your background is an asset. It's not a barrier. I know that our Hispanic students and population, they bring unique perspectives to the table. They have incredible input that they can put in when they are giving or providing feedback to other companies about their performance and stuff. So that diversity can play in their favor. There is a huge Hispanic population in the US and it's increasing rapidly through the years. So I know that many employers and organizations are looking to hire people that can have that background as well and can tell them exactly what it is that maybe their Hispanic customers need. So those things are an asset as long as you communicate with your employer and you make sure that you give them feedback in whatever it is that you need, that you're assertive on when you receive and get that feedback, because sometimes in our culture, the feedback that we receive can be would need to be given a little bit softer. I know that here is more straightforward. We when we deal with authority or with the straightforward, for us it's a little bit harder because we want to make sure that everybody is content and happy, and so that's a cultural difference that might influence or might be a little bit hard for our Hispanic population. But I think that with open channels of communication, making sure that you are an asset to the company, that you always provide good feedback for whatever it is that they need with your own skills, I think that that will be great for any employer to have.
So you kind of started alluding to communication. It's a two-way street. Not
Mhm.
only does the Hispanic professional need to have the communication skills to thrive, as you stated, but the employer needs to have that as well. How else can companies ensure that they're creating equal opportunities for Hispanic professionals to continue to thrive in these global roles?
Well, I think it's a matter of being intentional and recognizing that not every employee can be addressed the same way. And when you have a diverse team, you take a look at your team and you make sure that you understand and identify their strengths. And so if I have, for example, an organization that has Hispanic employees, even though they're Hispanic, not all of them, of course, act the same way or will have the same values. Each of them have their differences as well, because we have so many countries, and also each individual is their own person as well. So just making sure that you understand the strengths of your team members, that you have opportunities to open up with them and then have good conversations with them in what it is that they need, and how else they can help those employees thrive in their organizations. That little 30-minute conversation can help that employee visualize their work in the organization, and they make sure that they can continue with that work and help the company grow as well. So that's one thing. That's communication has to be open for all of the employees, but also our Hispanic population is we yearn for a sense of belonging. We like collaborative opportunities. and making sure that we know our colleagues, that we're able to get to know them, um, and collaborate with them. So, for example, if we have a company that is remote, and I know that these meetings, for example, the one that we're having today, is remote as well. But if we can get those people to collaborate more, then I think that those opportunities are great for our Hispanic population, because we like that. We like to make sure that we know our colleagues, that we can collaborate with them, that we can give them and receive feedback as well, work on new projects together. So that's important as well for companies to pay attention to.
And before we let you go, I have one question for you that I'd like to finish off with. And why is it important for us to celebrate and recognize Hispanic Heritage Month?
Well, it's a very important month for us because it gives us the time to set aside some moments to appreciate where we come from, our background, our diversity as well, and what it is that we can bring to the table. Also, we have great Hispanic leaders that through time have ensured that we have opportunities, new opportunities in this country for people that are coming in. For example, I could say to you, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we didn't have the Latin division at Keiser University. So these new leaders that came to the country and made sure that we understood the needs of the people coming in, the Latin division students coming in, they understood that and they identified that need and opened the Latin division. And now so many students, hundreds and thousands of students, have graduated with us and can say that they have a degree and that they can work in the field that they want to work in here in the U.S.
Dean Lina, before we let you go, and we really appreciate your time joining us today, I want to ask you one final question, and it is about Hispanic Heritage Month. And my question for you is, why is it important to take the time to celebrate and recognize Hispanic Heritage Month every year?
Well, I think that this month is important because we take a moment to pause and appreciate our background, our culture, the good things that have happened to us in this country as well, and the many leaders that have opened paths for many of us to come. I mean, I came to the US, I think maybe 10 years ago. And throughout these years, I have been able to work in a very good organization, get promoted over and over again, learn the language, complete my studies. And these opportunities, they wouldn't have opened if other people before me, they wouldn't have opened the paths for me to be able to do what I'm doing now. So for example, with the Latin division, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have a Latin division. We had a Kaiser University, but not necessarily the Latin division. And because of leaders with Hispanic background, and they understood that we have a need here for our students to graduate, to work, to start to take advantage of the studies that they complete. Because of all of this, we opened a division and we have graduated many students, hundreds and thousands of students that are now able to work in the community and help others as well. So these students, at the same time, they're opening new paths for the ones that come, for their children, etc., that now are even more well equipped to work in our community and serve others as well. So I think that this month it is important to appreciate what we have done so far, to recognize that we have come a long way, and take a moment also to reflect on the things that we can do better moving forward, what new projects we can make happen so that we continue with this improvement through the years.
Amazing. Dean, thank you again for taking the time to talk to us about not only your cultural background, but also what Hispanic professionals face entering in the workforce. So thank you for joining us today. We hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And as always, if you enjoyed it, like it, share it, send it out, and we hope to catch you on the next one.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for journeying with us today on Keiser Voices, the story of success. As we close this chapter, remember, every story has its next page.